Good evening, everybody. We need one more member to join to have a quorum to be able to open the meeting. So we'll be waiting just a moment. We expect at least two more have said they're going to be here. So we will open once we have at least one of them here. I've connected with one more of the members, and we think he's going to call in and has a limited amount of time. So we'll try to move quite quickly through the agenda once we get him on board and with us. Stay a little more patient for just a few more minutes, and then we'll get everybody on their way pretty quick tonight. All right, looks like we do have a quorum present now, so if we could ask Fran if you could do a quick roll call for us for attendance.
Sure. Chairman Backey,
Here.
Member DePesa,
Here.
Member DeJesus, Member Rourke,
Here.
Member Baez Rose,
Here.
Lloyd DeJesus, if you could just answer here, unmute yourself, that would be great.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, well, that being a quorum, we're allowed to proceed. The first order of business this evening is the approval of the March 23rd meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Any second?
I second.
Any edits or comments on the motion minutes? All right, we have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. The next item on our agenda is a vote on the fiscal 24 budget. We were provided in advance with the recommended vote, which is to recommend to the Lowell City Council to appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation Fund annual revenues or available funds in the amounts that will cover committee administrative expenses, debt service, community preservation projects, and other expenses in fiscal year 2024, with each item to be considered as a separate appropriation. And the recommendation is for $47,711.12 to be appropriated for administrative expenses, $620,244.61 for budgeted reserves, $95,422.25 for open space, the same amount for historic resources, and the same amount for community housing. We have a motion to make that recommendation to the City Council.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the budget? All right, can we have I think we need a roll call vote for that one. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Chairman Backey,
Yes.
Member DeJesus,
Yes.
Member DePesa,
Yes.
Member Rourke,
Yes.
Member Baez Rose,
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We have two other orders of business this evening, both of which are modification requests to prior year funding awards. The first is for CTI, A Place to Live. They are seeking to modify their CPA approval to change the location of the affordable housing project that was approved. I do believe we have somebody here to speak on behalf of the proposal, and if I could ask you to be succinct in your comments and request, we will proceed from there.
Thank you, Adam. Steve Jonkis, and to be succinct, any questions?
All the members have received a copy of your letter in advance. So.
The only things that have really changed from our April memorandum, again stated in the memo, is that we do have 452 Broadway Street under agreement. We have a time frame for performance that's fairly quick. It gives us 6 months with two 30-day extensions for a payment of additional fees. The other critical element is that, as you know, the site, along with property that's owned by the city's urban renewal site, is contaminated as a result of Muldoon's. And the owners of Muldoon's have at least completed cleanup, it appears, on the Muldoon site itself. I'm not sure of their schedule for extending into the urban renewal parcels and the small corner of 452 Broadway. Our goal is to expand upon our supportive housing that already exists in that neighborhood. We have 29 units in 3 buildings there, all of it providing permanent housing for families who are either and individuals who are either homeless or at risk of being homeless. And I think we've owned that for about 7 years now. And expanding our portfolio there with 452 as well as 138 Cross Street, which is adjacent to our 423 property, would really enhance our ability to continue to provide wraparound services for people and improve our efficiencies from a property management standpoint. So we're pretty excited about the opportunities, and but as a nonprofit, and given what we have on our plate in terms of a development agenda, not only in Lowell but in surrounding communities, the CPA funds that were awarded for West Adams Street, if they're reassigned to these projects, would be an enormous financial help as we pursue development. We've brought an engineer on board, Just Engineering, and we're finalizing an agreement with an architect so that we can advance the plans to get to initiate our permitting process.
Great, thank you. Do any of the members have any questions about this request?
Oh,
We have a motion with respect to this request.
I'll make the motion to, are we approving the amendment? I'm not exactly sure the wording of it.
Okay, that's fine. That sounds good. All right. Do we have a second to approve the amendment?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? Not, can we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Bakey,
Yes.
Member DeJesus,
yes.
Member DePeza,
Yes.
Member Rourke,
Yes.
Member Baez Rose.
Yes.
Thank you all. And we have one more item to this evening, which is a modification request for the Acre Crossing project. The Acre Crossing project team is seeking to modify their CPA approval to allow the funds to be used to assist individuals or families earning up to 100% of area median income to purchase the affordable units. The initial approval required the funds to be used for individuals or families earning up to 80% of the area median income. And that was a restriction. The income level restriction was a discretionary option for the CPC, and that was the recommendation that was made. It is within our authority to adjust that income level, but we do need to have the affordability restriction on the property. So I guess we have a number of people, I think, associated with that project. I don't know who would like to give, again, a brief presentation of the request and the rationale. We do have a letter on this one as well that folks, I'm sure, have read before the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any questions? Bill Martin is counsel to Acre Crossing LLC, and Francie Slater is part of the consulting team focused on seeking funding sources for not only the residential piece, but for the retail component of the project. Thanks for the opportunity to speak on behalf of this proposed change. I mean, essentially, I think we've been through a perfect storm where we've seen the Federal Reserve raise interest rates at an unparalleled clip or pace. Inflation is still affecting construction costs, and the supply chain disruption still remains a challenge for those who are in the affordable housing development business. When we started this, mortgage rates were at 3.5% or 3.7%. We saw mortgage rates at a local bank just yesterday at 7.38%. That's a pretty significant jump. We've added in our most recent estimates 50 basis points to that based on just to be conservative, given Chairman Powell's comments about continuing, while pausing at this time, continuing to raise interest rates in the future in their efforts to fight inflation. The principal and interest for a $100,000 loan at 7.88% over a 30-year term would be $7,902 compared to the 3.72 rate, which would be $3,965, a $3,937 difference. For a $300,000 mortgage, that's almost the equivalent of additional $12,000 of just principal and interest payments on behalf of a buyer. And our concern is that, and it was also a concern of the construction lender and Mass Housing, which led to their modifying our program to target buyers at 100% of AMI or less. You may recall that the previous award had a constraint of having 17 units at the 80% threshold. We're asking you to make that change so that we can apply the funding to the project itself to help mitigate the increases in construction interest, as well as to make the units more affordable. And the construction interest rates started out at 5%, but right now they're at 9.1. Again, a significant difference. So again, the requested amendment is to advance the $762,000 now to mitigate these adverse construction interest effects on project feasibility, and amend the requirement for 17 units at 80% of our AMI to mirror what Mass Housing's restriction of units being at, all of the units being at 100% or below. And we still have an opportunity to be below the 100% threshold because we don't know what interest rates are going to be by the time this project is finished in 10 months. And again, our goal is to try to make this as affordable as possible for buyers. The benefits, we think, obviously it improves feasibility for in the eyes of Mass Housing and the construction lender, in terms of their standards and our own. Banks don't like to lend money to projects that are breaking even or at risk of having losses. So that's part of the motivation for all of this. We think it's important for us not to fail, simply because failure would discourage new home ownership developments and financings. And we think the buyers will bring more disposable income to neighborhood businesses, a goal that's consistent with the transformative development initiative that the city has engaged with and with Mass Development. So for these reasons, we're asking for a positive recommendation for this request to the city council.
Just to clarify one point. So you are now requesting, instead of 17 units having the restriction, you place the restriction on the entire project, all 32 units?
All 32 units at 100% of median maximum or below.
Okay. I guess I want to just ask Member Baez Rose, who's here representing the city administration on the committee, if you have any, is this something that the city administration is supportive of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we recognize that the finances are just what they are and the need to make the shift. We're definitely happy that the restriction is going to be placed on all of the units. One thing that I would say for the project team that I think would be really helpful is if these recommendations are going to have to go to the council. And if when that happens, we could share what the plan is in a bit more detail for your marketing and your work with Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. I know I've talked to Kathy Mercado about this, and she's still actually really confident that based on the number of programs that exist, not all of the buyers are necessarily going to be at 100%. And so I just think being able to speak more on what your game plan is to try to achieve getting people below 100% would be helpful during the conversation. So it would just be something that I'd ask you all to kind of be ready to provide in advance to the council, because I think that information would be really helpful.
That's wonderful that we're on the same page with that, because that was what we anticipated. And I asked her today if she could come and support when we know when that meeting will take place, and definitely can share the details on the marketing plan and outreach plan and how the lottery will work and allow applicants anywhere below 100%, including 70, 80, 90% households.
Do we have any other comments or questions from the members? Hearing none, do we have a motion with respect to this request?
Yeah, I'll make the motion for the funds to be transferred to this project.
Well, this isn't a transfer request. It's a request to change the affordability restriction from 17 units at 80% AMI to 32 units at 100% AMI.
Correct.
And Adam, we're also asking that the money be advanced while we're in construction to help offset the increases in construction interest costs.
With that amendment, are you comfortable with that motion?
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. Do we have a second on that motion?
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Chairman Bakey,
Yes.
Member DeJesus,
Yes.
Member DePeza,
Yes.
Member Baez Rose,
Yes.
Member Rourke.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you all very much.
Thank you for your support. Very much
Thank you.
appreciated. And we'll be sure to follow up on your suggestion, Giovanni. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you all.
Good luck with the next steps in the project.
Indeed.
Do we have any other comments from the CPC members this evening? If not, can I request a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second that.
Great. All right. I think, I imagine all are in favor. And thank you all for making our special meeting, especially Member Rourke, who was able to join us from the athletic fields.
No problem, guys. Thanks.
Much appreciated.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone. Have a good night.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
have a good night.
Thank you. Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.